The numbers don't lie, and neither do the fans. Angel Reese just delivered what might be the most catastrophic performance in recent WNBA history, and the internet is absolutely ruthless about it. We're talking about a meltdown so spectacular that it shattered every carefully constructed narrative about her being the league's next superstar. This wasn't just a bad game. This was a complete statistical implosion that had fans creating viral memes faster than her turnovers were piling up. 9.
Chicago Sky, y'all stink, bro. Y'all, look, there's trash and then there's trash. You know what I'm saying? But look, man, the Chicago Sky got destroyed by the stud buds. Everybody watches the stud buds. Shout out to Courtney Williams and Tisha Heiderman, man. Listen, stud buds stood on business today. Nafisa Collier stood on business today. They destroyed the Chicago Sky.
Turnovers in a single game. 9. Let that sink in while we dive into how one night against the Minnesota Lynx turned Angel Reese from a celebrated rookie sensation into the laughingstock of basketball Twitter. What makes this story even more twisted is the timing. The same night Reese was getting absolutely roasted by fans for her disastrous performance, she was simultaneously making WNBA history by becoming the first player ever to record multiple streaks of 10 consecutive double-doubles. The irony was so thick you could cut it with a knife. Here she was, achieving something that should have been celebrated. But instead of praise, social media exploded with jokes about her being on triple-double. Watch, 4 points, rebounds, and turnovers. The memes were flying faster than her errant passes, with fans sarcastically asking if the WNBA keeps records for most turnovers during a historic achievement. One viral tweet perfectly captured the absurdity. Angel Reese really said, "Let me make history and comedy at the same time." The performance was so bad that even her achievement felt hollow, overshadowed by the chaos she created on the court. The turnover fest wasn't just a collection of random mistakes, it was a systematic breakdown that revealed everything wrong with her game. These weren't unlucky bounces or brilliant defensive plays by Minnesota, these were telegraphed passes so obvious that fans in the nosebleeds could see them coming, lazy dribbles that got stripped by defenders who barely had to try, and decision-making so poor it looked like she was actively trying to give the ball away. Each turnover felt more painful than the last, not just because they were gifting easy points to the Lynx, but because they came with this sense of inevitability. You could see her teammates' shoulders drop with every mistake, their body language screaming what everyone watching was thinking. Here we go again. The most brutal part wasn't even the turnovers themselves, but watching a player who's supposed to be a franchise cornerstone look completely lost and overwhelmed when her team needed her most. But wait, there's more. As if 9 turnovers weren't enough punishment for one night, Reese managed to collect her 7th technical foul of the season during the same game, officially putting her at the WNBA's suspension limit. The tech came after a confrontation with Diamond Miller, and here's where it gets really messy. Miller is her former teammate from Maryland. The incident perfectly encapsulated everything problematic about Reese's approach to the game. Instead of focusing on cleaning up her sloppy play, she was getting into it with someone she used to share a locker room with. Fans immediately jumped on this, pointing out how she's always ready to start drama but can't seem to hold on to the basketball. The suspension threat hanging over her head adds another layer of chaos to an already volatile situation. One more technical foul and she's sitting games, leaving her team to pick up the pieces without their supposed star player. The technical foul situation has become a defining characteristic of her game, and not in a good way. League insiders have started whispering about whether she's coachable, especially after that viral moment earlier this season when she was caught on camera slapping a clipboard out of her assistant coach's hands. That incident revealed something deeply troubling about the power dynamics in Chicago. Here's a player who's supposed to be learning and growing, instead acting like she's above instruction from the people whose job it is to help her improve. The coaching staff appears trapped, walking on eggshells around their most marketable asset while trying to instill some semblance of discipline. Every timeout becomes a delicate negotiation instead of a teaching moment, and you can see the frustration building in the entire organization. What's particularly infuriating for fans who actually watch the games is how the media continues to push this narrative about Reese evolving into a point forward. It's become the go-to excuse whenever she has a turnover-heavy performance, with analysts trying to spin her mistakes as growing pains from learning a new position. But anyone with eyes can see this isn't about position, it's about fundamental basketball awareness. When she gets the ball in the high post, the offense doesn't flow, it grinds to a complete halt. She plants herself in the paint like a traffic cone while her teammates scramble to figure out what she's trying to do. Her passing isn't creative or visionary, it's desperate and often dangerous. These aren't the mistakes of someone learning to facilitate, these are the errors of someone who doesn't understand how to read a defense or make quick decisions under pressure. The point forward label has become a convenient way to mask her biggest weakness. She can't shoot consistently from anywhere beyond 5 feet, so instead of admitting this limitation and designing an offense that works around it, the team has decided to make her a playmaker. It's like giving someone who can't drive a stick shift the keys to a Formula 1 car and calling it driver development. The results speak for themselves. And they're not pretty. Every possession that runs through her feels like a gamble, with teammates holding their breath hoping the ball reaches them in a catchable position. This isn't modern basketball innovation, it's damage control disguised as strategy. Here's where things get really uncomfortable for Reese's defenders. The stats that look good on paper tell a completely different story when you dig deeper. Yes, she had 11 points and 11 rebounds in that disaster against Minnesota, technically maintaining her double-double streak. But these are the definition of empty calories in basketball terms. A significant chunk of her rebounds come from cleaning up her own missed shots, essentially giving herself extra chances to score while her teammates watch from the perimeter. Her scoring comes from sheer volume rather than efficiency, taking far too many shots to reach modest point totals. When you factor in the 9 turnovers, her net contribution to that game was overwhelmingly negative. The double-double obsession has created this weird situation where individual statistics are being celebrated while team success suffers. Chicago lost that game by 23 points, getting absolutely blown out at home, but somehow the focus remained on Reese's personal achievement. It's backwards basketball thinking that prioritizes individual milestones over winning, and it's exactly the kind of culture that dooms franchises to mediocrity. Fans have started joking that she's stat padding while her team is collapsing, more concerned with her post-game graphic than actually helping Chicago win games. The contrast with other young stars couldn't be more stark. While players like Caitlin Clark are transforming their team's fortunes and bringing new fans to the league through exceptional play, Reese generates attention primarily through drama and controversy. The manufactured rivalry between her and Clark has become increasingly embarrassing as the gap in their actual basketball impact becomes impossible to ignore. Clark elevates everyone around her with her court vision and shooting range, while Reese's presence often seems to limit what her teammates can do effectively. One player makes the game easier for others, while the other makes it more chaotic and unpredictable. The media's role in propping up this false equivalence has become genuinely harmful to basketball discourse. Highlight packages are masterfully edited to show her powerful finishes while conveniently cutting away before you see the 3 turnovers that preceded each basket. Commentary focuses on her energy and presence, while glossing over the fact that her energy often leads to reckless fouls and her presence frequently clogs the lane for better shooters. The disconnect between the player being sold to casual fans and the player who shows up on game day has created this weird alternate reality where statistics and narratives matter more than actual basketball impact. What's most damaging about this whole situation is how it affects her teammates. Watch their body language when she has the ball in crucial moments. There's hesitation in their cuts, uncertainty about whether a pass is actually coming, and visible frustration when another possession gets wasted. They're forced to play a restricted style of basketball, constantly adapting to her limitations rather than maximizing their own strengths. Players who are better shooters find themselves standing in the corner while plays get forced through someone who struggles to make efficient decisions with the ball. The entire offensive system gets warped to accommodate one player's weaknesses, sacrificing collective success for individual statistics. The coaching staff finds itself in an impossible position, trying to develop a player who seems resistant to criticism while managing the expectations that come with her celebrity status. Every substitution becomes a potential media story, every play call gets scrutinized for how it affects her numbers, and every loss raises questions about whether the team is being built correctly around their supposed centerpiece. It's not sustainable basketball, and the results on the scoreboard prove it. Chicago's record reflects a team that's underachieving relative to its talent level, held back by dysfunction that starts with their highest profile player. Recent controversies have only added fuel to the fire. The debate over her getting the NBA 2K26 cover over more accomplished players sparked fresh outrage among fans who feel the league is more interested in marketing narratives than actual basketball excellence. Her comments about players potentially sitting out games over contract negotiations showed a tone deafness about her own standing in the league and the broader economic realities facing the WNBA. These incidents pile up, creating a perception of someone who's more focused on her brand than her game, someone who wants the rewards of stardom without putting in the work to deserve them. The suspension threat looming over her head adds another layer of unpredictability to an already chaotic situation. Teams invest significant resources in building chemistry and establishing rotations, but how do you plan around a player who might not be available due to her own lack of self-control? The technical foul accumulation isn't just a statistical quirk, it's a fundamental character issue that raises questions about leadership and maturity. Championship teams are built on reliability and trust, qualities that seem to be in short supply when it comes to Reese's on-court behavior. So here we are, at a crossroads that could define not just Angel Reese's career but the entire direction of the Chicago Sky franchise. The organization has bet heavily on her being their cornerstone player, but the evidence continues to mount that this foundation might not be as solid as they hoped. Every game becomes a referendum on whether talent alone can overcome fundamental flaws in basketball IQ, decision-making, and emotional control. The fans have already rendered their verdict through viral memes and brutal social media commentary, but the real test will be whether the team can find a way to harness her abilities while minimizing the chaos that seems to follow her everywhere. The most uncomfortable truth might be that Angel Reese has become exactly what the WNBA doesn't need right now, a player whose celebrity overshadows her contributions, whose drama generates more attention than her basketball, and whose volatility makes it impossible to build sustainable success around her. The league is at a critical juncture, with new fans discovering women's basketball and unprecedented attention being paid to the sport. Having a player who embodies dysfunction and controversy as one of your marquee stars sends the wrong message about what elite women's basketball should look like.